guys, it's Megan. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing wonderfully today. Real quick before we get started, I wanted to go over a couple of things with you guys and kind of let you know what's going on. I did create a new Instagram and Twitter specifically dedicated to YouTube and my makeup. So if you guys get a chance, please go online and follow me. I will leave all of the information up here for you. So in today's video, what I wanted to do is a powder foundation routine. I recently got into this because my skin a couple of months ago was very blemish prone. And any liquid foundation was just breaking me out. It was not helping my cause. So I decided to look into the powder foundation thing. And so I wanted to do a video for you guys who fall into that category, or if you just don't like wearing liquid foundation, or if you just like to keep it a little bit lighter. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I know I look a little bit crazy, but bear with me. I went ahead and did my eyebrows and my eye makeup off camera because I am dedicating this video just to my powder foundation routine. And what I also did is I went ahead and put eye concealer underneath my eyes. I typically don't drag it all the way down because one, I like to keep it light, and also the foundation that I'm using is pretty good at concealing any redness that I do have. By all means, if you want to drag it all the way down or put concealer wherever you want, feel free. I just personally like to put it under the eyes. And whenever I am using just powder, I usually don't go over the top of it. Typically, with me, I don't know if this happens with anybody else, but whenever you put powder foundation on first and then a cream or liquid concealer on top, it usually doesn't blend as well. So that's why I usually just go in with concealer first. So the next thing that you want to do is go in with a primer. And this is the primer that I use. By all means, if you want to use whatever primer you want, but I do have combination skin, and some days I'm really dry, some days I am really oily, and this stuff just really works for me. And it's also great because I do have very sensitive skin, and it is a calming primer. I use this CoverFX calming primer. And this stuff is really good too because it does create more of like a tacky feeling. It's not a gross feeling by any means, but it really helps with the powder foundation to adhere to your skin. And this stuff is also really good because it kind of prevents that cakey looking feeling or look to your skin. So I would highly recommend a primer that is not mattifying, just because you don't want too much mattifying effect when you're using a powder. And before I ever started doing powder foundation, I would use the mattifying primers, and it would always look cakey, so I always steered away from ever using powder foundation because it just had that cakey look. Okay, so this stuff, I usually only put a couple of dots on each side of my face here, and I kind of just go in, make sure everything is all set. By the way, I am not pushing hard on my skin. You can just kind of see how sensitive my skin is. Barely touching it and blending it in, and I'm just like super red. So that's why I really like this primer. I feel like it really does calm, and it also it's a good primer, in my opinion. You should check it out if you're ever at Sephora, if you do have sensitive skin. And I'm just like putting like a small dot, something kind of like that. And I'm just gonna go ahead and blend that in. And what I usually like to do after well, any foundation for that matter, after I do apply the primer, I do like to give it a minute to soak in so that it is, you know, it can perform its best. Because if you go in immediately after you apply primer, it can drag around, and if it's not properly soaked into the skin, it just, for me, it doesn't work as well. So real quick, I'm gonna let this sit in and I will be back. Okay, now that my primer has officially set into my face, I'm gonna go in with the powder that I use. And this is just my favorite type of powder to use. It is perfect for my sensitive skin, and it does give pretty good coverage. And what I'm talking about is the Bare Minerals Blemish Remedy Foundation here. You can see that. It is worn down. I have used this many times. It's been worn with love. But I don't hear a lot of people talk about this, but it is a really good foundation. I kind of like to compare it to the original foundation, to where like the matte formula of the Bare Minerals foundation can look cakey. Now the original stuff, it doesn't have any oil controlling properties, but it doesn't look as cakey as the matte foundation. So I really compare this stuff to the original formula. And this Blemish Remedy stuff is really good because I do have acne prone skin, I do have sensitive skin, and this stuff is really good for skin types like that. It has like calming properties in it, and it's quickly become like one of my favorites. So I have really been using this. It does not break me out whatsoever. Bear with me here because it has been used. It is very messy. It has a little mesh net here, and you're supposed to use the brush that they recommend, but I don't do that. I just go in with my Real Techniques buffing brush. This is just as good, honestly, and it's cheaper. And I just kind of go ahead and just coat my brush with it here. Make sure it's nice and loaded up. And then I just kind of will dot it and kind of drag it around. Just gonna go ahead and blend that in here. And as you can tell, I mean, look at the redness already. That's doing an awesome job. It has pretty good coverage. I would say it's about a medium coverage. You can build it up. It does such a good job on me, and it doesn't break me out. I love it. I used to never like powder foundations because they looked cakey, but this one doesn't. And I think it really helps with that more hydrating primer. It does prevent that. So I'm just going back in. I'm just going to do one half of my face so you can really see the difference. Okay, so there it is on one half of my face. As you can see, in my opinion, it really doesn't look cakey at all. And it gives pretty decent coverage. So what I'm going to do is apply the second half of my face really quick.
So for the sake of time, I went ahead and fast forwarded this part of the video, but I did want you guys to be able to see how I do apply it on a daily basis. And I wanted you to be able to tell the difference in the redness and how much it is able to cover. On days that I do need more coverage and I do need to build the powder up, I will actually go in with a setting spray to help blend everything together and to help it look a little bit more natural. And I like to use Smashbox's primer water, and that stuff used with this powder foundation is just awesome. So I will use that if I do build up the powder, but on days that I need even more coverage, I will use a concealer on my breakouts or if I have extra redness, and then I will actually go in with this powder. So I just wanted to let you guys see how I apply this on my everyday sort of basis. And I usually just do the medium coverage, but I did want you to be able to see the difference.
So what I like to do to set my face, I like to go in with a translucent powder. I've already taken the cap off. I go in with this Velvetizer Urban Decay stuff, and I just did a review on this if you guys are interested. It doubles as a setting powder, and it's also used to be mixed in with liquid foundations to mattify it. It's a really awesome product, but you can use whatever you want. I suggest a more finely milled powder because you don't want that cakey look. You just kind of want it to smooth over anything, so if it does look cakey for some reason, this stuff will help blur that out. And I put a little bit in the cap already and dipped my brush in it, and just want to dip off, or knock off as much as you can. And then I just like to go in on like the areas where I do tend to have a little more pores. Because again, I don't use silicone-based primers. And this stuff is really awesome. It has not broken me out. Super awesome product. If you guys hear anything, my little dog decided that she wanted to join me for a video, and they're also mowing outside, so bear with me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up the rest of my face. I'm just going to throw on some blush and a little bit of highlighter, and I will be right back. Okay, so my little dog Ruby has decided that she does want to join me. She is one of those that she just will not let you be. So she's going to join me for this last clip. So as you can tell, it honestly doesn't look cakey in my opinion. This is like one of the best powders that I have used, that I can use it whenever I want a light day, or if I am having like breakouts. This stuff really does help to let my skin breathe. It doesn't have a whole lot of ingredients in it. And I honestly don't hear a lot of people talk about Bare Minerals. They either love it or they hate it. And I used to be one of those that hated it, but it's one of those makeup lines that you really have to play with it and get it down just right. And it wasn't until I found this Blemish Remedy foundation that I just fell in love with it, and I learned to work with it, and it doesn't look cakey, and it is just awesome for those of you out there that don't like to wear liquid foundation, or who don't wear a lot of makeup or anything like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up so I know you liked it and I can create more videos like this. And you know, if you're ever at Sephora, I want to say, I think some Sephoras might carry it, but definitely go out and get a sample and see what you think. Or I know I bought mine at Ulta, and I will leave a link in the description box down below, so you can run out and try it if you want. But thank you guys so much for joining me again. And again, let's have Ruby come with me. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.